Hey, welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing well there. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great, and appreciate you stopping by. Will be a couple things to let you guys know. The Heat preseason, there'll be a game again on Friday, the final one, mercifully. There will also be the red, white, and pink scrimmage is going on Wednesday night, and I'll be broadcasting that, boots on the ground, for the station, WQAM. It'll be on the AM feed tomorrow because there's a Panthers game, but you guys can catch myself, Solana, and Tommy Tig as we broadcast live, and we'll give you coverage there. I believe it is broadcasting on YouTube. I don't know if I don't know what the audio. I don't know if we're the audio feed, if Eric Reed and John Crotty are doing it or what, but they don't typically do that. So I know people always like to watch the scrimmage. It's a really cool event. An awesome cause, that the Miami Heat do every single year for this, and they I believe tickets are $10, and it benefits the Baptist Health Miami Cancer Institute, which it really is an awesome event. They come out there, survivors who have survived cancer, pink obviously for breast cancer, and if you've had a loved one or you have gone through these battles, man, those institutes are having sent. My wife, when she went through her battle, was at the Florida Cancer Institute. So it wasn't at Baptist Health; it was here in Palm Beach. But those healthcare workers are like heaven sent in your darkest moments. And so whatever you could do for research to help their institutes is just an awesome cause in people's most tumultuous times. It really does, does help a lot. And so I think it's a great event. They've done a lot of great stuff with Baptist Health. They've done the dribble drive before, which I think is called now Bounce Back from Cancer. It's led by Udonis Haslam, but I did one of the original events that they did with that, where we dribbled from Miami Cancer Institute all the way to at the time American Airlines Arena, now the Kaseya Center. So the Heat does a lot of good work, and you go get to see your basketball team for $10. It's a really great cause. Can't recommend it enough if you guys are able to go. And if you're not, tune on in, and of course we'll have full coverage, and we'll see what's what. I don't know. There's not going to be a lot to glam onto. It's a little bit different too, because typically this scrimmage is kind of the kickoff to the preseason. Usually they do it, and their first game is usually the next day or the day after. And this time it's kind of the wrap up almost, because there's only one preseason game left. So scoping on out, but we've gotten a little bit of a look into the Heat's preseason, which is what I wanted to talk about a little bit tonight, because it's obviously it is mildly frustrating, keep it in perspective, that the Miami Heat haven't won a preseason game yet. Like, who cares, right? But I do think there are things that have been concerning. And first and foremost, health, because the Miami Heat didn't have a lot of that last year. Even in the midst of the Jimmy Butler stuff, basically everybody who wasn't Bam or Tyler dealt with a lot of health issues. And then, Bam goes down yesterday with the knee injury. He didn't need an MRI today, which was great news. But Nico, the thing that's it's not only the injuries, it's the people who have been injured, and then some of the injuries that guys are dealing with are injuries they've had in the past. So, like, for example, Nico's dealing with a back injury. It's like, well, it's not something he's dealt with in a while, but he has dealt with in the past. So you're just like, all right, that doesn't make me feel great. Then Tyler's obviously dealing with the foot. I saw some photos that he put up today of him doing pool work, getting himself right. I don't know if we have anything on, Dominique Wilkins' little bomb there, where he's like, yeah, I heard he's going to be back open today. I don't know if that's the case, but it looks like Tyler's on the mend. But obviously he's dealt with foot stuff before. Now it seems like they've gotten at the root or the bone cause of it all. So hopefully this isn't an issue for him anymore. So that's been frustrating. Then you had all the guards that were out early on. No Davion, no Kasparas, no Pella. So it's also been a very it's been a very hard preseason to gauge because they have been throwing a lot of stuff together. But look, the offense has been bad. I mean, like that's they've been building a brick house like a bunch of third little pigs, and it hasn't been exactly aesthetically pleasing to watch. And those are things that I think understandably make the fan a little bit squish, just because we dealt with all of that last year. The offense stunk, and now I would say a legitimate concern of the fan base is like, hey, does this team have enough in today's day and age? Does this team truly have enough shooting to succeed? And especially without Tyler Hero, because you're going to need, Nico's a good shooter. Norman's obviously a great shooter. Tyler's a great shooter. Wiggins is a capable shooter. Bam took a shooting leap, but, he's not going to shoot 5 a game. This is not a guy you're going to feed that many times from downtown, obviously. And I think even some people would be like, hey, we'll sprinkle that in, get even close to the basket. Kel'el shot great, but he's not exactly known as like a 3-point threat. I don't think people think he's going to be Miles Turner or Brook Lopez all of a sudden. And then Davion, we have questions about, is the shooting real? Hella's not a shooter. Jaime's not a shooter. Fontecchio has the capability, but I don't necessarily know if anybody looks at him as like a crazy threat from downtown. Keyshot obviously isn't known as a shooting threat. Preseason, same thing. Kasparas Jakučionis not known as his bag. And so there's a little bit of like, is this something that really can get fixed at any point this season? And I truly don't know the answer to that. But I will say, out of everything that's happened, yeah, they're not going to go 3 for 30, but I mean, I think the Heat's inability to hit shots from downtown on certain nights can definitely be a concern, and you can see that can really hinder you, even if you're a good team like Orlando. It could be a hindrance to your team. But look, there's been some, I think, though the collection as a whole hasn't been great, there has been some encouraging stuff from the preseason. I think the thing that's interesting about it, though, is a lot of it is leaned young. And so I don't know if I'm looking at it from a different grade on things, but I will say that the guy, first of all, the thing that's most encouraging, I think, is Kel'el, because even with these Spo criticisms, the guy looks still like a physical freak, looks like he is going to be a force for this team, and has not turtled up on these demands or call-outs at all. So I think that A1 has been great. Number 2, another thing that's really been pleasing to me is in the lone game that we really got to see a full boat of Kasparas Jakučionis. I didn't think he looked as physically overwhelmed, and especially at the speed of the game, that he did in Summer League. Like, that looked like a guy who had been around the team a little bit, knew his teammates a little bit, and I'm hopeful that he gets back from this injury. But I looked at Kasparas and I thought to myself, look, do I think he's going to be in the rotation right away? Probably not. But is it as far away as maybe it seemed as of his age? Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe this is a guy who can jump in there at some point. And look, the Heat really do need that true point guard to run things, right? And set up his teammates, especially his bigs. And I don't know. I think that was probably, that game where him and Kel'el Ware had a great game was very much the highlight of the preseason, I would say, so far, right? Like, Orlando, the first game, not that great. Milwaukee, kind of ugly, and then, Kel'el put up the big numbers, but was kind of a sticker. The Spurs game was probably the best all-around performance from everybody. The next Orlando game was better, and then the Hawks game was kind of a bleh. Wasn't too encouraging. So Kasparas is showing that ability. It's got me intrigued. I don't know if I came out of this span being like these games being like, oh, he's gonna be able to open my eyes and sell me that he's gonna be ready. And then probably the biggest surprise and most pleasant surprise out of anything, to be honest with you, after a couple of clunkers, it really has felt like after the first couple of games, and it took that third quarter, I would say, where he got to stay in alongside Nico. Jaime Jaquez Jr. has had a nice preseason. He's had a really, really nice preseason. He's played well. He looks like he's playing fast. He looks like he's playing with confidence. He's got some bounce to him. And he looks like a guy who's just more in attack mode. And I think that is a pretty encouraging thing because the Heat, I do think that they do need some more creators. And I really was like, I don't know. Like, to be honest with you, I did not have a ton of confidence that was going to be there going into this season. I was like, yeah, Pella's past him, dude. Like that felt very much the case. Like Jaime Jaquez Jr. is not going to be in the rotation, and he very much looks like he could be in the rotation right now and will contribute at certain points. Like, how much of the ball will he get, especially once Tyler? I don't know. I don't think he's going to start. I am interested with this whole Drew Smith starting, and I like Drew. Drew, I think, could be a needle mover at times in the game. Do the Heat start him? I don't know. I like the idea of starting Davion Moore, and especially if you have Jaime there. I think that, I don't know if I'm reading too much into that because while I know Eric Spoelstra adores Drew Smith, I also think Davion's coming off of a calf. I think that they're trying to be mindful of it. And so I don't know if we read into that one too much yet. I'm not sure. I know Spo will do the thing where he likes to keep guys in their roles and things like that. So I'm not saying dismiss it. I'm just saying I'm not positive that that's exactly what's going on yet. So we'll see. But Jaime's been great, man. And he was talking to Jax yesterday after the game, Jason Jackson, and he was discussing his health, and this is about what he said. He says, I'm really healthy. He says, I'm healthy. That's the biggest thing. I'm taking the time to take care of my body and my mentals. And we know that he's taken the approach that he's worked with a mental coach this year. Spo has made it to be like, hey, go out to LA, go to your comfort zone and get ready. And Spo was very much like, hey, this guy works his ass off. He was doing 3-a-days. And I was like, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I was a little skeptical. I was like, all right, dude, are you fluffing up value here? Like, what's going on? Because I don't know what happened last year. We know that he dealt with a ton of stomach injury. There was ones that Spo didn't even show up that he was dealing with. And yeah, he just didn't look like himself. Like, he looked lethargic. Not only on time, and maybe struggles can do this, so I may be reading more into it than I should. But it was just like no rebounding. Those second efforts weren't there, and I just feel like he does look very fresh this summer. And I think that's good news because, we're talking about offense and we're talking about offensive talent. And yes, I realize Jaime is not exactly a threat from downtown, but at his best, he's a very confident offensive player. And the Heat need that. And, there were even some times yesterday where he had like some great decisions and passes off to his teammates and that stuff, not getting bogged down, not getting too spin happy. I think it could be definitely a value for this Heat team. And yeah, he doesn't maybe have the ruggedness defensively that like a Pelle Larsson is, but Pella still's got his own things that he's working through. Like, look, Pella, I love Pella. I think everybody does. How can you not love a way that guy plays basketball? But a little bit with the fouls, like he's gotta get that stuff honed in because he's not gonna get that whistle, right? Like he's a bit of a Tasmanian devil when it comes to that stuff. So yeah, I think that Jaime's probably boosted his stock as much as anybody this entire preseason. Like I remember I did my power rankings of players before the season, and it went Bam, Tyler, Norman Powell, Andrew Wiggins, Nikola Jovic, Davion Mitchell, Kel'el Ware, Pella, Jaime, Kishad Simone, Kasparas, Drew, Terry Rozier. And I would say you could probably move. I mean, like Jaime, I know he's not going to get more minutes than Davion Mitchell, but yeah, he's had a better preseason than Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell hasn't shown so much. So I would say he's probably like moved up at least a rank. Like I would say he's probably been ahead of Pella. He's played that good. And I think that honestly, I think that's probably the guy that he had the most competition for minutes with. So that'll be an interesting thing to scope out as we work our way towards the regular season. I would say like if because of Pella's injuries, because he hasn't he missed time, I do think that Jaime has taken advantage, especially in these last 3 games. I'm like, all right, he's looked pretty damn good. So I don't know what it'll mean for the regular season. I hope good things, but it's been noticeable. I think anybody who's watched these preseason games, and salute to you if you have, impossible not to notice what Jaime's put forth. He really has done a good job for this Heat squad, and yeah, I'm curious to see what this means because the healthy Jaime Jaquez is a great thing, and I think that's the other thing that you come out of this preseason. I think what Bam, Norm, and Wiggins can do, and that's great. I don't necessarily know if it gets the goosies flowing to anybody, especially with Bam, slumping a little offensively and then saying that he was taking a back seat. And it's like, hey, we don't have time for that, man. You need to go pedal to the metal here. But I do think that everybody is, I think Nico, Kel'el, Jaime, and Kasparas, I think everybody's pretty excited about those guys. And has given the fans a little bit of bump of enthusiasm, even though as a collective it hasn't been very impressive. But those guys, the youth is what everybody I think is attracted to more so than even the vets, or because like yeah, you've watched Noah Powell, you're like yeah, Noah Powell's a really solid scorer. Maybe it's a little hard to get excited because he's not really playing in clutch time. These aren't games of consequence, so you'll get to really know him and get behind him. So right now you're kind of just prospecting and you're looking at these guys and seeing where they're flashing and growing and developing. And so that's why I think that they probably have a leg up on it. But it's definitely been the best part of the preseason, and it's been kind of hard to find things because these games have not been entertaining. They haven't won. They've been brick fests. And so I'm trying to find little acorns here in the forest, and that's where I'm at with it thus far.